Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, I'm going to do a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, roles could be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also know on this channel, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, and see how they play out as karmic themes. So the readings have a little bit more of a therapy style to them because it's not so much about what your person feels for you. You can feel what they feel. We can feel when a person is near us and when they're thinking about us, and we can feel when they're not. That's the confusion about soulmate relationships because there's an ESP connection, which is through the heart and mind. So you're like, well, if that person's really my soulmate, why does it look the way that it does? We all have perceptions of what we believe a relationship should look like. But is that the reality? No. And sometimes it triggers us. It brings us to a place where we contemplate. It makes us dive deep within ourselves because the relationship is triggering. So after a certain amount of time, when you're connected to somebody that's not giving you anything, that's keeping you in a low vibration, a lot of times you want to just say, well, how can I cut the psychic energy? What do I need to do to actually be able to cut the energy and evolve into a higher state of consciousness so that I can attract the love that I want? And the answer is by shadow healing. We all have spiritual blocks, and those blocks were created from experiences that we've lived. And in order to heal the effects of the trauma, we have to go back into that karmic theme. It's just with different people and handle the situation differently. Now, we wouldn't care about the situation wouldn't affect us if we didn't care, right? It's again, so that's where the soulmate connection comes into play, is that there is a caring, there is an ESP bond through the heart and mind that this person has found you for many, many, many lifetimes. So there is that energy of unconditional love. That's the chord is unconditional love. However, due to not learning the spiritual lesson and triggers that continually happen throughout the connection that never get integrated, that never get healed, the connection becomes toxic. That's what it feels like. And any relationship that puts you in a lower state of consciousness, like you're sad, you're angry, you're bitter, you're feeling like you're stuck in ruminating on what they do, is toxic. It's bad energy. And we know that if this is the way that the person handles the situation, that they're pretty much going to handle this every situation that way, where they have to be right. They're not going to look at things from your perspective. But when they realize when they fuck up, then they want you to look at things from a different perspective. There's a little bit of that energy. I don't know where that came from, but when I channel, sometimes again, things come out. Spirit always wants me to give you a nugget of the energy before we even pull any cards, but also help you understand how this channel works. Because it's not so much whether you wind up with this person, is more about how can you heal and how can you integrate the spiritual lesson. So because that's going to shape shift the energy. Either you're going to force that person to change, and if they really truly do love you and they're ready to evolve into a higher state of consciousness, and they're going to implement the appropriate actions and behaviorisms to get you. But because we all have free will, this person may choose not to do anything. And if they choose to not do anything, you don't want to have the effects of that, you know, situation onto you, something that makes you feel bad, something that makes you feel less than. When you're dealing with toxic people, hurt people that don't get their way. They want you to feel a certain way because they do everything to protect their self-image. So it's almost like you don't want to deal with them at all. It's because, again, there's a fine line between love and hate. That's what it is. You want to avoid the negative energy. Now, I don't know where all this is coming from, but if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word in the video in your comment bar. Well, you just saw two cards came flying out. So we're going to have two cards because I never believe that there's any accidents. Even when we're like, no, that was clearly an accident. No, everything is in divine order. It's how we choose to look at the situation. It's all about perception. All right. So this is reactive and this is needy. So again, the underlining energy is almost like you're connected to someone that needs your energy, but they're needy and they're used to having people in their life that continually build them up emotionally, that tell them how great they are, how wonderful they are, and come to their rescue to like fix things. So there's a sense that they act like they don't know how to do anything themselves. And it doesn't mean that they can't go off and have a good job. What this means is emotionally, this person needs to have the constant attention from outside sources. And I feel like for a long time they did, whether that was their family that was always praising them and telling them how wonderful they are. But the irony is that a lot of times people were game to them. And meaning like they knew you need me to like blow smoke up your ass. I don't care. I'll blow smoke up your ass all day long if you're doing for me, if I am benefiting from you. And I feel like there's a sense that this person was in an environment that people did that for them. So they felt like that was comfortable energy. You didn't do it. You expected them to give to you, and they got reactive, meaning they reacted. It was like almost like, why are you telling me what to do? Almost like you were telling the king to eat grapes at the at the kiddie table, almost like, who are you? And they got reactive. And that's because this person, like a lot of the people at that same time that you were in their life, they were starting to have problems. They were starting to see problems within a connection that they had. And again, where people were tired. They're like, I'm tired of having to blow smoke up your ass to do what you should actually be doing. So I believe that they were connected to a karmic mate that they were not giving anything to. That connection was over, or in their mind, they acted like it was over. They compartmentalized. And that karmic was that person that was blowing smoke up their ass the whole time to make them feel like, okay, well, just keep giving me, just keep paying me, just keep the facade going. Like I'm going to settle for the minimum here. And the minimum is just the money, is just what you give to me because I'm not emotionally getting anything from you. You're running around with other people. You're making a mockery out of me. So there was problems going on. So and this person lived this way for a long time, mind you. Lived this way and they were ignoring how they were treating someone. And so that karmic was getting more and more and more angry. So here it is, you come along and you're like, I don't understand like why you make a big deal out of like meeting me to have lunch, or if I want ask you to call me, or if something like I go through something difficult, why you can't pick up the phone, why you can't be there for me, why you can't show up. And this person got again reactive, where they were like, don't tell me what to do, you're so controlling. And it's they they gaslighted you. I feel like they gaslighted you. They ran from you. They ghosted you. They acted like you had did something like that was offensive, but it was almost like they put onto you what they were going through at home. So it's like they heard wrong, if that makes sense. I know that sounds crazy, like they heard wrong, but it's like they reacted. And that's when a person is going through it and they're in survival mode and they get triggered, they have reactive behavior, meaning this person has karmically gone through this before in relationships with this person, is that they were connected to where they've cheated. And so they've always gotten out of it before. This time they weren't getting out of it. Things were starting to change. This person didn't realize. I think that they thought that things were never going to change with that karma, that the karma was just going to put up with it forever. So now they're in a sense of having a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry because, hey, there was a part of this person that thought that you were going to be the fallout guy. This person is used to running from one place to another. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't have a connection with you. They did have a connection with you to the point that they thought that you were never going to disconnect. That's the problem. They never thought that you were going to disconnect. So now it's like I can't stay with the karmic because like I haven't given them anything. I've treated them like a pig pretty much, haven't given them anything, held back, made them do everything. If anything, I've used their resources, I've used their time, I've used their energy, and I kept doing things that they asked me not to do because again, this person would be stuck in their stubbornness. And with you, they held back from you. Where am I going to run? Where am I going to go? The anxiety, the worry, when meanwhile they're needy. It's like they create problems. Again, like they knew that you and them, this person was the connection. There's an ESP connection. They just thought that that connection meant that you were going to stay, that you were going to fix it. This person is used to living a certain way where they never take accountability. They always have somebody to clean up their mess. They always coming in with a sad story, and they can finesse. Whether they make a lot of money or they know how to make a lot of money, they know how to get what they want. Problem is this person didn't give you anything and you weren't even asking for that much. You would like asking for them to give you time. But like, I don't understand how we have this connection and I feel like you care about me, but I'm not seeing anything here. Yeah, they acted like you were jealous. And I don't think that you were jealous. I feel like it was more like you didn't trust them. You were asking for them to show you some transparency so that you could trust them. It's like that they were holding back. And of course they were holding back because they were dealing with something at home. They told you that it was over because in their mind it was over, but they didn't do what they needed to do. And I believe that this is what their issue is. They've been saying that it's been over with that karmic forever. And going up and hooking up with other people and then saying, after they hook up, saying, well, you're not really what I want. So I might as well stay with the karmic because I'm going to lose a lot. So they've been doing that for years. And the karmic was like almost like okay with it. As long as you're feeding my pockets, as long as you're giving to me. So this person knew that they should have gotten out, but they thought, well, I'm going to trigger you to make you jealous and maybe that'll make you come to me. Because this is who this person is. And you had enough. You had enough of their disrespect. You had enough of like their temper. And their temper would not be that they would yell and scream at you, but they were very passive aggressive. It would come out in their behavior, again, where they would try to manipulate you by holding back, stonewalling you, like psychologically messing with you. And that's how they usually get what they want. They're used to getting that because the people that they deal with get very emotionally connected to them. They don't normally get emotionally connected to anybody. This person always had a connection to you, but again, they avoided you. You were like, you just felt like, okay, every time I'm asking you, like you're like purposely avoiding me. So I know that there's something going on. It's like the disrespect due to the gaslighting, due to the stonewalling, due to the ghosting, is all psychological manipulation to get me to give to you when you're still holding on to that person. Oh, yeah, it's over in your mind. You don't give that person, but you're not letting go of that person because there's a weird, like, codependency thing going on there. It's not held together with love. It's just comfortability at this point. So you don't care. And it's in order for you to stay connected, you don't just run around and get attention from other people. But again, you're sitting there and you're doing like your drugs or you're drinking or you're doing whatever you got to do to check out because you would rather be with me. That's the energy of unconditional love. That's our natural state. We want to be in that state. Trust me. The spirit, everybody has a spirit part of self. And we want to feel connected to, love. We want to feel connected to other people. It's when we feel a lot of energy. Life is going good. We're seeing that our finances are raising. We're seeing that we have a happier mood. We're seeing that we're attracting different types of people into our life, different situations into our life, maybe even seeing the same types of situations play out, but having different karmic themes attached to them. So where maybe every time you did something wrong, where you get shame. And now you're attracting people that maybe you still are not as present as you should be, but hey, you're seeing a different outcome where people are like show you compassion, forgiveness. They find their balance. You're changing your energy. It's like, and that's because there's a disconnect from this person. This person wants to feel connected to you. Everyone wants to be connected to love, is what I'm saying. They don't want to be connected to someone that is like, I mean, that person, that karmic is like, I'm so afraid. I don't want to like they settle for it. That person is like feels like they have to manipulate in order to like for their survival at this point, but it's not. It's more about the appearance of what they want it to be. If they don't have that, then what is there? So again, your person wants to be connected to someone that has their own, again, life force, but understand they don't have their own life force. Because the life force is not about how much money we make or the house that we live in or whatever else that we own. It's about how we're giving and receiving of love, how we choose to be an expression in the world, how we can connect to people on a deep level. Because that's what life is about. Life isn't about stuff. If life is without stuff, if it was just about stuff, it's empty. So of course they want to be with you. But again, in order to get what they want, they're going to try and manipulate. I'm going to suppress it. I'm going to check out as a way for them to avoid instead of actually honoring the connection. All because it's like they're with this person, that it's like they're comfortable. I want to see how does that, I'm going to look again, sex. So it's again, there's a dominance. There's a dominance there. I feel like this karmic is like like it was very obsessed with the sex. Like when they first got together, it was a very passionate connection. So they still hold on to that. I just don't think that it's happening. I feel like they've always gotten the connection to go back to getting a little bit of passion, but then it wound up being almost like there's a fine line between love and hate. It's like, but this karmic would try and make it into what they wanted it to but that dominance. But it wasn't like a love, an unconditional love, like this person wants to be with you like on an emotional level. They never experienced that before. With this person, it was more about like dominance, control, like dirty sex. And with and where this karmic like associated with that, and they still want that. So they don't let go of that. They continually try to get it back to that because once they can get it back to that, then they're like, okay, so you do love me because that's what they associate love with. But love is not so compartmentalized like that, where you're treated like a slave and then a sex slave in the bedroom. You know what I mean? It's like it's not that equal love. See, in order for your person to go out and really stir up like that love, they go out and they get passion from people that they don't know, that they don't build a relationship with, but it keeps them in that fantasy realm. And that it's avoidance. And it's almost looks like addictive behavior. Like it's like because their spirit is so, they're not feeding themselves. Feeding yourself with love and passion means not just the person that you care about deeply and emotionally because you've been transparent and you've created experiences with that person, but it's also how are you feeding your life to give yourself that life force? Like what hobbies, interests, who else are you connected to? What do your friends bring anything to the table? This person is stuck in their addictions to stay connected to a karmic. And that karmic is addicted to the sex that once was. So they're always trying to get it back to that. And so there was this weird karmic energy there. And then, your person winds up meeting you in the process. So if anything, they thought that they were going to make you jealous. I feel like they're jealous because they're like, we had this strong connection. And when I have felt that strong connection before, it always means that that person comes back to me. This is this person's intuition. And yes, that is true for this person. So they don't understand, why aren't you coming back? You must be talking to somebody else. Your life must be good. That's pissing them off because their life is not good. Again, being connected to this karmic, they just thought that they were going to be able to have their cake and eat it too. And, or again, figure it out as they go. Because they would have told you that they were leaving that karmic and they would have convinced themselves of that until things got hard. Because that karmic, again, is still there, like, that's their identity. They're being fueled by this passion that once was. They're trying to get it back to that. And if anything, the karmic is jealous because the person's not like it is not giving them anything. I feel like almost that karmic thought that they were going to be able to maintain their spot, like take your spot. But what they see is it's like they might be there utilizing all their resources and it looks what it looks like, but they're not getting anything. They still want this at the end of the day, and they're not getting it. If anything, a person's lazy, they're not doing anything one way or the other. It's almost like they're waiting for that karmic to throw them out so that it's like they don't look like the bad guy. And the karmic knows it. Karmic knows exactly what they're doing. They're not stupid. They just thought that they were going to be able to manipulate it a little bit, to like get it back to that time. I even feel like they walked around them in like night shorts or like did things that were like to try and like hint that they, were open to sex where normally that would work in the past. It didn't work. So it's again, this person is continually getting rejected and they're like, okay, who is it? And the person that's connected to you is saying nobody. But on an emotional and mental level, they're not there. They've checked out, and this karmic can feel it. We've been getting this a lot, but I almost feel like it's starting to really like bubble up where things are coming to a head. It's like the trauma that has played out in this person's life, in your person's life, the person that's connected to you. This has played out before, where they have been in a relationship where they weren't happy, they did what they wanted to do. The person kept giving into it, giving into it, giving into it, giving into it, and then they don't want to be in the relationship. They want to finally leave, and then they're connected to someone that feels that they have sold the farm and completely ignored their needs and say that this is my identity and like, no, you're ruining my life. And they really hold on to them. And so there's a sense of them never handling it properly, always running into somebody else's arms, running always to somebody to rescue, which is why this person has never really paid the full dues of the karma. There's always someone there to pick up the mess and then gets the same exact karma as the previous person all the time, all the time. So it's again, your person feels that you've made a judgment about them. You don't want any part of this energy because you're like, okay, you haven't given me anything. And if you haven't given me anything, whatever you're going to come back in here and you're going to tell me the tale, it's like you're not telling me the full tale. It's like because you've dealt with this person before, it's like there is a passion. Again, this person does again want to feel your body. They want there's a this person focuses on that. That's why the karmic is like, I'm trying to get it back to that because they identified that with love, where that's because that's one of this person's love languages is touch, is the body. But the thing is, I don't really feel like that you're that comfortable in your body. That there's a sense that you're a very emotional person, you're a very mental person, you're very like, it would take a person to emotionally give to you for you to be affected. And that's why you're also not really giving into this person because you're like, I see that you're not giving me anything. It's like, so what? You come around once in a while and you give me like a breadcrumb or talk to me, whatever. I'm not just gonna run into your arms. Like, I can tell that there's no substance here. So at this point, like I said, they know that you're judging them because of how many risks that they took. And I feel like any chance that they had to really come back and fix this, they didn't because of their pride, their ego, and also not because I've never had to do it before and I was so sure about who you are, is really what I'm feeling. And now they know they're paranoid because it's like that's what happens when you play so many games and now no one is giving in. No one. No one's going to clean up this person's mess. They're stuck in a place of fear. Because of course they're going to act like the victim, like I'm the victim. Like they have to go through this whole process. And believe me, their self-righteousness, it only really leads to anger and then powerless. And it's like they feel neglected when meanwhile what they did was they they neglected you, but they neglected themselves. They let other people like kind of control them, like navigate their life, and they take what they want for a certain amount of time. And then they're like, no, okay, no, I want to do this now. And then it disrupts the whole thing, and you weren't falling for it. You weren't, this person was so sure that you were going to fall for it. That connection. And so they played a lot of games. This person played so many games. Yeah, they have too many issues to deal with at this time, and they also know that at this point that they disrespected you, so that they're gonna have to deal with a lot of anger. That like it's almost like they need to like heal the wounds. They didn't. Their pride and their control made them not. And so instead of fixing it like a small thing, they made it into a big thing. And at this point, they're like they're looking at that, and that's why they have a lot of anxiety. It's like, yeah, this person needs to like do a lot but they would never catch up to you. And I say that because it says you're going in the right direction. This person came in for a season. That's what they did. They came in for a season. And that was to teach you. It wasn't so that you would be with this person. It's almost like this person needed to play the cards the way that they did so that the universe could give them their full karma. Like if they would have ran to you and you would have been open to receiving them, then you would have like gotten their karma. It's like, or help them not have to deal with the full karma. And so, yes, while you were like helping them dig them out of their misery and their problems, they would have acted like they loved you and they would have loved you. However, once they got on their feet and got strong again, well, then they wouldn't, this person wouldn't want what they created with you. And that's the problem that this person continually goes through. And so it's almost like they were part of your journey, yes, but not to be with them, not to be with them at this point. It's like eh, you're more again, like if you were to be with this person, it would like be like a quick fleeting affair. They wouldn't even stay in your life. They wouldn't stay in your life. They would hope that you were going to like get swept up in your emotions, but that's not what's going to happen. You're not supposed to get caught up in that energy because if they come into your life, they will actually prevent a transition from happening. Okay? Looking for a chance, looking for a change in relationship status. Okay, that's what this person will like try to do. But no, it's like you're supposed to move on and level up. You're supposed to do other things with your life. It's like this person, it would always be a power struggle. They would act like it's not, but it's the relationship would be nothing but full of challenges because they're not really receptive to what they need to do. They'll do what they need to do to get you back. But they're part of that is because of their life. Look at their life. So this person like makes a habit of this. It's just when you came into their life, they 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 weren't looking to have any serious connection. Then they had the serious connection, and it's not like they haven't had serious connections before, but they actually grew an emotional connection for you. So that's why they're like, well, I felt the emotional connection, so for sure you're going to come back. So I don't have to do anything. Well, they wasted so much time in hoping that they were going to confuse you, that what you saw was, no, I don't need to be with a person that's so rigid. I don't want to be with a person that's rigid. Because what you see is that the person at the end of the day has a lack of will to do what they need to do because they're lazy. They're lazy. Part of them is comfortable. And they're like, well, I eventually things will blow over. Eventually things will blow over. Well, since I don't know how you're gonna like receive me, I'm gonna like hold back. It's like this person doesn't really want to do what they need to do to grow to grow. They don't. And that's the issue. It's like it would always keep you in a place where you would not feel good. And so I'm looking for my inner child cards. There they are. I was like, we have to ask why you attracted this person into your life because it's like it's not that they don't have feelings, but they choose to be comfortable. They choose. It's like there's a sense that that relationship is over. It's not that it's not over, but it's like this person was used to being able to get what they wanted. They lived a certain way for a long time, and that was to run around, do what they want when they wanted, and they just have that person there. And the person put up with it. They dealt with it. They gave them, but there's a lot of resentment. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of, you know, not karmic's not giving up their place. And it's like we've been getting this theme a lot. Only we're really seeing that this person is like, well, I'm gonna let that karmic do it. And so because they were saying, oh, I'm gonna let that karmic do the dirty work, they're not paying attention how they're treating you. And that's the issue. Frustration card number 1. Imagination card 2. Organized chaos 3. Rebellious 4. Unworthy 5. Vulnerability 6. Well, the inner child wounds. Sometimes we don't just find our wounds, we find our gifts. So I would say that imagination is a gift, but understand imagination a lot of times is created not just because children, it's easier to go into that realm when you're a child, but if it's a very uncomfortable environment, if the child doesn't feel safe. And so what we see here is that unworthy, vulnerability, and frustration. So having parents that uh, aren't there emotionally, right? They're not there because they can't give and they're angry and they need their own healing. That's the only reason why a parent would make a child feel unworthy. I mean, it's not that their parent really means a lot of times to make their child feel unworthy also, but due to their own anger, due to their own frustration, due to the way that they were raised, due to a fear of wanting the child to succeed. Sometimes it's like, you're not doing good enough, you're not doing good enough, or why isn't it an A? Why is it a B? Or like, why aren't you putting the time towards studying? Why aren't you putting the time towards something that they knew that you didn't like to do? And because you didn't like to do it or do it well, you felt unworthy. Not all the time is it that the parents saying, there's something wrong with you, like you're a piece of garbage. Like, not all the time is it emotional abuse, but a lot of times if the parent is angry, they do project their anger onto their children. It's because we have not grown up in a society that has talked about having spiritual hygiene. When a person is so overwhelmed with work and what's going on in their own relationship, I mean, our parents are just people too, going through life. And there was a lack of spiritual awareness. So life was frustrating because they were dealing with what the karma that they inherited from their own parents and ancestors and their own individual karma and what was going on in their environment. And so, again, feeling not comfortable, not safe, it's just the way that people deal with stress. But if the child feels unworthy, they're not going to feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And then there's no real emotional connection. The child doesn't feel safe. It's very frustrating because the child has to figure out everything by themselves, right? So like regardless of what's going on, organized chaos could be like, I lived in a home where there was a mother and a father, but there was a lot of tension. There was a lot of yelling, there was a lot of screaming, there was a lot of people were not happy. Or there was one parent and they were never happy. And that's organized chaos because child's not supposed to have to deal with that. They're supposed to deal with, you know, just having to worry about kid things and having the support from their parents. So I feel like you tried to figure things out a lot on your own. It was seen as like rebellious. It was seen as being bad because you hung around with people that maybe didn't really care about who they are. Maybe it was a rough crowd. Like you were perceived as rebellious when really you weren't rebellious. I just feel like you weren't getting the emotional needs that you needed. You weren't getting the support that you needed. So life was difficult. Life was frustrating. So underlining energy of being frustrated and aggravated is that it's like because you didn't feel safe and supported. So now you attract this person into your life that there's this deep connection, but it's organized chaos. That's what they would be asking you to go into. I have this person here on the side that, I'm not like, we're not in a relationship. I don't want to be in a relationship with them. But I just don't want to get the full divorce. I just don't want to like stop supporting them because it just feels right to me. Well, that's because the karmic has conditioned this person to that's the focus. So no one wants to be in a relationship with that. It's frustrating. if that makes you feel unworthy, and this person is not making you feel emotionally safe where you can be actually vulnerable and talk about the things that are going on in your life because they're holding space for somebody else. So you're made to feel as if you're bad when you're not bad. And this situation is good to be rebellious because what you're saying is you're not giving me enough. It's like, and you're not being fair. And that's why this person is looking at themselves now and being like, I projected onto you how I felt about this karmic, and I sabotaged our connection because of it. And it's like, and that's the truth, because at this point, what you're looking at is you didn't give me anything. You were not there for me. You expected me to run after you. You did everything to try to manipulate me instead of surrender your ego and actually give, to the point that you're like, okay, I learned my spiritual lesson. Thank you. That's all that you were here. You were only here for a season. I really thought that you could have been here for a lifetime if you would have surrendered your ego. And that's what this person sees too. They see that they could have been in your life. You would have treated this person like a king, okay? You would have. I mean, we see control, but I'm looking at the crown. So I'm like, you would have treated this person like a king. But because they kept it in such a power struggle the whole time, because they wanted to be in the control, but on very gross imbalance there. So not balanced at all. And that's what they see. So Spirit says, I choose serenity, light, and positive energy. No matter what I go through, I choose happiness. I rise above fear and direct my thoughts to God. So Spirit says, yeah, it was a choice. You got to a point where the universe said, do you want to stay in an energy that you feel unworthy, that you feel unworthy of love, of to be vulnerable, to have someone transparent in your life so you could be vulnerable, like so to have a deep, meaningful relationship, or do you want to stay connected and bound to that again, feeling unworthy, feeling not good enough, being frustrated all the time, being angry all the time, because you have someone in your life that would rather gaslight, manipulate, control than surrender their ego because they want to stay connected to someone that they don't really want to stay connected to. It's like, but they feel like, well, I can have both because, the connection, I know how much you love me. I know how much you'll just deal with it. It's like, and what they see is you're not dealing with it, that it was a choice for you to be happy. It was a choice for you to walk away. And this person never saw you choosing that choice. Never in a million years. And that's why they're like, I don't know how to fix this. No, they can't fix it. It's that they came in for a season. Thank you for the lesson. Thank you for the lesson. Adios. It's like, and that's their karma, that they wind up with nobody. Because the karmic is over it too. It's like you're just sitting there holding back, I'm doing everything to like get you turned on here. You're here, but it's like you're not really here. It's like, yeah, they wanted that karmic to throw them out. So if they would, because then they could just easily come back, You'd throw me out over anger, but I would just come back later on if things didn't work out. So their little game backfired on them. And that's what they know. They say that you see it, the karmic sees it, and they're needy. Who's gonna save them now? Nobody. They're gonna have to figure it out. I'm gonna leave that there, Virgo. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.